This podcast was created on the lands of the Ngunnawal people, the Wurundjeri people, and Ngāti Pawa. We acknowledge the contributions of Aboriginal, Torres Strait Islander, and Maori people to making rugby league the greatest game of all.
You're listening to NRL Hellmouth, the podcast where we open up a portal to the rugby league realm to see what horrors and delights we can unearth. My name is Simon, and I'm coming to you today from the sprawling estate that surrounds Ricky Stuart's chateau, otherwise known as the ACT. Joining me this week and every week for the next 8 or 9 months are a couple of guys I'm proud to call my hellmates. From way south of the Barassi line in Melbourne, hello Daniel.
Beanies and bucket hats to you, Simon.
Indeed, right back to you. And from Rugby Union territory in Greater Auckland, New Zealand, it's James. Kia ora, mate.
Kia ora, Simon. Kia ora, tato.
Thank you. We're three white men with a long list of grievances. We've finally got a podcast. What could possibly go wrong? Let's open it up and raise some hell.
There's the kickoff. Let the party begin.
I'd like to unreservedly apologise to everyone for my actions.
I didn't intend to disrespect anybody, and I definitely didn't do it on the car.
Well, I've been watching the Seagulls, and not one of them is eating.
This is a horror movie. Rugby league. Rugby league. What else can this grand final provide?
To get stacked live on television.
Wow. Stop it, it's starting to hurt.
Now, it's been a very long off-season for rugby league fans, and we've had to resort to all sorts of things to fill that Stevens-shaped hole in our hearts. Daniel, what have you been doing over the off-season?
A very exciting off-season. Let me see. My partner bought me a bum bag for Christmas. So far, it's working pretty well. Haven't decided whether I'm going to go for drug dealer or sex tourist. I think it's something to do with accessories and maybe the height of the hang. But so far, so good. Simon, enough about me. How was your off-season?
Look, it's been good. I've been trying to get a bit healthy, so I've gotten into running, or back into running, I should say, after probably well over 10 years off.
Oh, good.
It's going quite well. I've got an app that tells me what to do. But out of curiosity, I looked up how far an NRL player runs in an average game, and it's generally around 6.5 to 7.5 kilometres over the 80 minutes. Now, this morning, I ran 7.5 kilometres in 51 minutes, and I wasn't even trying that hard. So that makes me think that at age 46, maybe it's not too late for me to launch an NRL career.
Jeez, Simon. So
give me a call, Madge. I hear Brisbane has some cap space now.
Okay. Well, I think you probably have to put on some muscle mass, mate, and then you see if you can drag it around the park quite so easily, eh? We'll see then.
Good point.
I'm genuinely really surprised that 6 to 7 kilometres per match for a rugby league player is very low.
It does seem so.
Yeah, because in football, soccer, you're up to 15-ish kilometres a match.
I think AFL is bonkers, because of the field size. The midfielders, I think it's in excess of, it's certainly into the double digits from what I can recall.
But that's actually really good for Simon, because if we were on a football podcast, then you would be like, well, I'm starting running and, I can't play professional football, but rugby league, starting to run, doing very close to what's made in a game, I'm going to make a fist of it.
Exactly.
You would like
turns
to
out,
see
once you look
Simon,
at the stats, they're all very lazy.
Yeah. And we know, so we're not going to get too much into your personal details, Simon, but we know your sport of choice currently involves a ball and two members of, team sport with balls, different shaped ball. But
I'm quite confused. But,
I'm not. I'm not going to get into, I'm not going to dox the guy. But what we should consider, Simon, is that you sign up this winter for your local Rugby League Masters team and you engage in that and you create content for our media. It's not really an empire right now. I suspect there's probably 4 people listening.
One brick
Two
at a
of them
time.
might have dropped
One brick
off
at a
by
time,
now.
James.
But for the soon-to-be NRL Hellmouth media empire, I think that would be a great little tale.
It would be great.
And then we spin a bit of a Wrexham angle into the team.
Oh, this is fantastic. I especially like the idea that we film Simon going up to each member of the new team and telling him that he's coming in because he sort of did the math on how far an NRL player can run and how that can work, and just get a nice little compilation of reactions.
Yeah.
I think we pulled the pin on the project thereafter, but, for that distance, it's golden. But James, how about you? You're off season.
Yeah, it's been good. I've sort of just been getting more connected with my Lebanese heritage, Lebanese roots.
Okay.
Because I thought earlier in the year for our podcast, because I'm probably a bit more ethnically ambiguous than you two, I could fill the role of certain niches within the wider rugby league community. So then I chose to consider having Lebanese roots, and then to consider sort of activating that part of my culture.
Is there a bit of paperwork that's involved after that point? Or is
it's really only belief. And
right.
For me to sort of move in that way that is more Lebanese than usual for me.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I suppose so. I would need to see it before. I mean,
you're seeing it now. That's the whole
okay.
point. I am inhabiting it, and no change, other than the intention to inhabit it for the purposes of demographic podcast growth. And I think maybe next week I might move into another ethnicity that I could theoretically inhabit.
Oh, that's good.
And we just kind of go from there.
Oh, so it's just about potential ethnicity, not so much about actual technical bloodlines?
Absolutely. Oh, that was very clear from the start.
Okay. Sorry, I know that you've got some Macedonian roots, but I didn't kind of...
And they can be there. They can exist within the sphere of what I'm talking about, which is podcast growth. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it certainly does.
He's the fastest man on the planet. He's the fastest man on the planet. He'd have got there, Rabbits. He'd have got there.
Now, moving on, we had the All-Star game, of course, on the weekend with the Indigenous All-Stars and Māori All-Stars fighting out a tough draw in Hamilton, just down the road from you, James. And did you notice much All-Stars hype around town?
It was pretty quiet in Auckland. Pretty quiet. Mm-hmm. And then when you actually looked at the game, it was evident that it was quite the hot ticket an hour or 2 hours away down in Hamilton. And as per usual with the All-Stars game, great crowd, great teams, great event.
Great game. It's always a great game.
A great game.
Yeah.
And the end of the game was particularly awesome.
Yes. I mean, to have an event like that at this stage of the season, I know that there are obviously going to be risks with personnel pre-season, but to have an event of that or a game of that quality to whet the appetite at this stage of the year is really fantastic for every fan, but then also just to have, for, a lot of people having an event like that means so much to them, it's win-win.
Yeah. I think, though, the fact that you're allowed to have a draw in All-Stars and you're not in NRL games or State of Origin shows that then the NRL is still not treating it as a real game. Like, I don't mind draws. The fact that we didn't go to Golden Point makes me think that the NRL still sees it as a bit of an exhibition game.
Clearly,
having said that, I think
really
that they do a good job with all the cultural stuff around it. Love the haka and the war dances beforehand.
The pre-game was worth the ticket alone.
Māori jerseys were very cool this year as well. Very cool.
They certainly were. But did anyone catch the shorts on the Indigenous All-Stars? Both the men's and women's teams wore the same strip, and they had a two-tone short. Each leg was a different colour, a yellow and an orange and a blue.
Could never notice.
And I went back through the previous All-Stars games, and over the years they've been stepping up. The Indigenous All-Stars have been stepping up their shorts game. Last year there was sort of like a gradient fade of greens and blues, and the previous year they had the theme, the graphic theme from the top, continuing down one of the legs. So it's been in the works, but I'm very excited about where the shorts are going. This is not to diminish the overall spectacle, but when you've got a sweet little a little sweetener like that happening on the side, it's fantastic and good for the game.
The only drawback I found from the whole experience is you get so excited by it, and then you've actually just got another 3 weeks or so to get through before anything truly meaningful happens again.
Yeah.
I did have an idea that week 1 is a traditional Indigenous All-Stars, first Māori All-Stars match, but on the line is an opportunity in the following week to then play another All-Star NRL team.
Okay.
And not the traditional All-Star team, which was like, the best players from each team or whatever, which is sort of boring, takes things away from state of origin, other things like that. But it's effectively an invitational team, potentially even decided upon by the Indigenous or Māori team that won. So it could be players we think are dicks, sort of, closet racist, something like that.
Oh, okay.
Not overt. I don't think that potentially happens, but, like borderline, we think you're a bit dodgy. Could be just players you hate and want to hit. You know what I mean? Of different levels, because it can be anything.
And so then you end up with a team to root against.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, just drawing it out, we don't even need to know what the criteria is, right? It's just right. Just say Indigenous All-Stars win on the Saturday, on the Sunday, they provide a team list of who they're going to play next week. And you don't know who it could be.
Yeah.
They don't say who. We don't say why. They don't say anything. It could be the entire Manly side. But there is a reason behind the scenes that we can then, pontificate over for a week or so. It'd be good for media and whatnot. Great for this podcast. And then they have that match.
Yep.
Could we go into
heightening the drama?
Could we go into other aesthetic minorities, like say blood nuts or the bearded team, or something? Maybe just there's a height threshold. Maybe say got to be under 5.5 feet. Something fun like that, which can bring back that sort of the freak show side of things that we still hold so dear. Compelling viewing, though, James.
Yeah, I think we can load this one up into a bit of a pack and send it off to the NRL for consideration. I was just on the NRL website because I was going to just give a little bit of a recap about the Witzer preseason challenge that's been going on for the last 3 weeks. And I was actually looking to provide an update on who is leading the challenge, based on some rather arbitrary criteria for them to run a leaderboard, including extra points for tries and line breaks and many other things. And it is so convoluted and unengaging that they don't even list a ladder on the website. So pause for thought.
The foul play far outweighs the dickhead.
I don't know if you folks saw a nice little article came out where it had been revealed that Ricky Stuart, in the week in between the heartbreaking first round of the final loss to the Broncos and the Sharks' subsequent loss and exit from the finals, Ricky Stuart actually hired a stand-up comedian to cheer up the troops and boost morale during the dark time. Of course, the final against the Broncos was a infamous game where the team thought they had won twice. You might remember it, Simon. I'm not sure.
No, my therapist needs to drag it out of me.
Yeah.
Again,
sure.
It's been heavily repressed.
So he brought in a comedian, and unfortunately, it although it was said to have certainly picked up spirits, it did not do the trick. Simon, do you blame your exit from the finals on Ricky Stuart?
That's a complicated question that I'm going to have to take some time to process and come back to you and answer on that one. But I think it's ironic that he did hire a comedian because, of course, we already saw a great comic performance that week, which was, of course, Ashley Klein's refereeing in that game. Absolutely piss funny. A couple of hours of clown-based comedy. Yes, it's an interesting tactic, though. I mean, I like it. I really want to know who the comedian is because, Canberra's not really known for its thriving stand-up scene. I think that most comedians are, public servants that do a bit of open mic on a Tuesday night. So I would really love to know what was involved in the set.
I can kind of see it. I can see Ricky, rocking up at Raiders HQ and going into the football department and saying, "I need you to find me Vince Sorrenti."
Yeah, It's interesting you bring up Vince Sorrenti, Dan, because do you remember a few years ago, Corey Horsburgh got injured and he went off crying and then he flipped the bird. I think it was a Parramatta game. He was actually, this is true, flipping the bird at Vince Sorrenti, who was abusing him from the sideline. So maybe that was the issue. Ricky did find Vince Sorrenti, and that's why we lost, because Corey was like in a very bad place.
It may have seriously backfired if they brought him in.
But I'm honestly actually a little bit disappointed that Ricky had to outsource the comedy to somebody else, because surely the job of a head coach in this situation is to actually get up there yourself and put yourself on the line and cheer the players up with your own stand-up set.
Oh, I would love to see that.
What's the deal with scrums? Why do they call it a try? Shouldn't they call it like a succeed?
See how Daniel was just laughing then, Simon. So imagine this is the situation, because Daniel found that legitimately very funny, as did I, but I was thinking of the future. Imagine that you had a tight 30-minute set by a comedian on a Thursday, and then on a Saturday night you were playing a game where your entire season was on the line, and the first half of that match went fine. You then went into the grounds. You're feeling a little bit more positive, and your mind is actually traveling back a few days ago to the comedy, and you just get the giggles, and you can see it around other players. They're giggling. They know what you're referring to, and then you go out in the second half, and your mind's not there, and that is the risk of this experimental coaching that Ricky sometimes dabbles in.
Innovation is why he remains the best coach with a 52% winning record.
True.
Now, while we're still talking about the Raiders, unusually quiet off-season for player scandals, I thought. Not much to really trouble the tabloids. But there was a rather interesting incident involving Chevy Stuart, the young Raiders fullback, early in the off-season. He was at the Northeast Hotel in Cronulla having a beer and a poke with some friends. That's a poke as in playing the pokies, not,
Thank you for clarifying.
Anyway, he lost all the money he put into the poker machine, which is, just unheard of. But then he immediately threw the rest of his beer over the screen of the poker machine, which is quite funny in itself. Then he left the room, and a few minutes later, the entire gambling area was, quote, plunged into darkness. Apparently, Chevy's beer dregs had short-circuited the whole thing. All of the machines shut down, and he ended up causing $5,000 worth of damage.
Wow.
Now, he's since pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 months of, being a good boy. But the question has to be asked, was this just an act of drunken frustration, or is Chevy a rogue anti-gambling sleeper agent looking to reduce the game's dependence on poker machine money?
Yeah, well, I mean, the word is out now. Everyone knows the technique. Here we're thinking that we needed to, have a vast kind of techno scams to hack it from the inside, when all along all you need is a pint of beer, maybe like even less than a pint of beer. Just toss it on one machine and lights out.
Yeah.
I also like that he, under the pump, used beer. A lot of people, when they're frustrated with losing a lot of money, they might come to blows with a machine, or maybe racial slurs or something like that. If it's one of those, those Egyptian-themed machines.
Yep. Queen of the
like
Nile.
that. Queen of the Nile. But in this case, he at least had the decency to just throw a beer. And I like the idea that, the machine would have looked at him with that sort of stunned look as the beer dripped down through the buttons. But that's for another day.
I was just reading the article, the real a lack of mitigating circumstances relating to losing to the Sharks a week or so before, and the stress of the comedian ringing in his ears. And then I've noticed in the photo it says Mr. Stewart was supported by his family and Canberra Raiders staff member. No sign of dad there. Shocking. Third final point, Daniel. You can see a very obvious bulge in his right-hand side pant pocket from his phone, as discussed earlier, an embarrassing oversight. A few little simple things could have changed that. First of all, phone in the breast pocket. You've got a fully functioning suit. That's where it goes, fella. Second, where's Dad? And where's Dad to tell him that? And we link this back to the comedian and the madness that's occurring behind the scenes. Absolutely shocking. And I'm sorry to bring this up about your team, Simon, but this is just
It's
a disastrous preseason. And we haven't even got it into, as I've been doing lately, looking at various comments from fans who are unhappy with their membership hat or membership scarf.
Yep.
A range of issues going on. High acrylic, scratching, allegations of the St. George Illawarra cap having the 5 embroidered into a 6 to save money. It is, Daniel. It is carnage out there. Absolute carnage.
Instead of me tomorrow saying what I think and then getting abused by everybody in regards to my unsportsmanship manner, you write what you think. Okay, well, write it.
Now, rugby league in the Epstein Files. James, you've had a thorough rake through of the Epstein Files. Have you got anything to show for your endeavours?
I wouldn't say I've had a thorough rake through, Daniel. Just because
you want to.
I mean, I'm interested in it from a very specific point of view, which is the intersection of rugby league culture and the web of stench that Jeffrey Epstein is part of worldwide, and that web of influence. So I did do a deep dive into that aspect of it, and I've got some findings, and I'll just get the first one out of the way. Rugby league is not in the Epstein Files. So we can confirm
Case
that now.
closed.
Yep. Now, there's some things after that we need to think about. But on face value, no. So, rugby league not in the Epstein Files. Oh, we might think that's good. Let me provide you a contrary take on that, guys. What is in the Epstein Files is power, technology, potentially desire, a lot of fucking creepy guys. But it does permeate across life and society in much of the world. So rugby league's exclusion from those files is actually to the detriment of the entire sport, because it means that it did not reach the point whereby it was something desirable to the global elite.
So it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate sort of focus group, a global focus group, and they did not poll well.
That's right, because, brother, we're not in the Epstein Files either. We're nobodies. Do you know what I mean? No one's trying to influence this podcast, at least in the Epstein Files up to 2019. Any other questions around the Epstein Files that I'm more than happy to answer? So we've got to imagine in 10 years' time what the global elite would want to be doing in late February, and that will be disgusting messages about wanting to go to a Las Vegas NRL party, or even better, the actual event. And that is the benchmark. That is the outcome that Volandis needs.
Maybe Volandis needs to be looking to, Epstein Island for a future expansion team if he really wants to tap into this network of sickos.
I think the real estate's quite cheap now.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So what about the champion of Australia, the champion of Australia, Peter Volandis, he's like President Trump.
So speaking of Peter Volandis, he was at it again over the break, messing around with the rules of the game. This bloke does more fiddling than an Irish folk band. Now, just to briefly recap the rule changes, which may range from minor and pretty sensible to potentially game-destroying. Firstly, they've restricted when trainers can come onto the field to stop some of the embarrassing scenes from last year where they started interfering in the play. Next up, the attacking team knocks the ball and then goal, so essentially drops it while scoring a try. No 7 tackles set from the other team. Very sensible.
Good.
Now things start getting interesting. The interchange bench will now be 6 players, of which you can use any 4 during a game. Any thoughts on that one?
It's a real suck it and see kind of thing. I think every time I've heard people trying to discuss this, no one actually really understands the implications. I think it'll just be a question of like how it evolves in the game. That's why I think it's always dangerous when you see all these things, enforced by the league, because you don't really know what sort of consultation and testing they've undergone. But I guess it might
zero.
Yeah.
This
it may
like
just end up being one of those ones that comes and goes.
AI chatbot being used to, make important decisions.
This one does sound very AI chatbot. I normally go...
Well, that's probably where he got the idea
Yeah.
from, let's face it.
I normally go, is this a good decision based on what Fox Sports commentators will talk about during the game?
Yeah.
And I just know this six-man interchange bench will be so excruciatingly boring.
Agreed.
And they will talk about it so much. And they'll put the cameras on those two guys.
Yeah. Will they get called in
who
or
are
not?
made like, numbers 17 and 18, whatever it is,
Yep.
18, 19. And they'll talk about that, blah, blah, blah. And it will be inconsequential for most of the games.
Yeah,
I do think, though, if you lose your halfback or 5/8 or whatever, or fullback, then to be able to replace someone of the back line for a like-for-like replacement based on injury is good. It's useful because the games can break down if you're putting second rollers in centres and you don't have a utility. So that is good. But I don't think this is the right way to do it because this just is a lot of useless speculation. And you feel sorry for the players because those extra two guys, will they then get to, will they still get to play a game?
Yeah, the practicality
in
is
feeder
really
clubs
interesting.
and all that
In
at the
cup
weekend?
and stuff,
Probably
tricky.
not, yeah. Now, the idea of letting the team that gave up the try kick-off has been postponed for now. They'll trial it later in the year. I think that's sensible. As in, they'll trial it in games that won't have an impact on the finals. Now, in justifying these proposed rule changes, Volanders said a few weeks ago when he was, talking about bringing them in, what people have to understand is that we have to make the game exciting for the fans. We had 137 million viewers in 2019. Now we've got 224 million. So implying that the significant rule changes he's brought in since he took over the game are responsible for this increase in viewers. So I decided to fact check this by doing my favourite thing, reading annual reports on NRL.com. Now, firstly, I don't know where those audience figures he quoted actually came from because they don't appear in the annual reports I've read. But I went back and looked at the yearly growth in overall viewership from 2020, which is PVL's first season in charge up until last year. And it's definitely true that viewers have gone up every year since Volandis took over. Most seasons saw an annual increase in viewership of between 4.8 and 7% per annum, except there were two seasons where the numbers were particularly good. 2023, when it went up 8%, and last year, 2025, the annual report's not out yet, but after the grand final, they said they were on track to have a 9% increase in viewers. Absolutely whopping. So those were the best years in terms of attracting more viewers. Can anyone tell me what was unusual about those two seasons, 23 and 25? Want to take a stab?
23 and 25, so missing 24. Ooh, I can't.
Those were the only two seasons of the Volandis era where they didn't fiddle with the rules. They didn't bring in any significant rule changes.
Right, okay.
And it looks as though the audiences loved some stability. So, his claim that they need to keep faffing around to make the game more exciting is nonsense.
It's also you can't really expect the audience to have actually adapted to a change in rules and, I don't watch the game and sort of think that, these rules are really going to make me more excited about, tuning in this week. Like it's way more, or it's a whole host of other factors that sort of, play into those figures, I'm sure, rather than just a tweak to the 20 metre or the 40 metre restart line.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of, trying to generate some Mad King momentum off cherry picking statistics.
It sounds like their focus groups are sort of 8-year-old boys who are like, yeah, I like the tries. I like a lot of tries.
Oh, very good.
And then they go, ooh, imagine a decade further, these are 18-year-old spenders. We need to feed them the tries now.
I think the Sharks are going to put 60 points on them this weekend. Oh, yeah. That's good.
And pop your bottled caps into one of these tubs. This bottle cap is for fun game, and this one's for a real sad game. It make you feel so?
Anyway, be interesting to see where it all turns out, but based on that rigorous statistical analysis, stop the fiddle, Volandis.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you. I am just going to take care of a little bit of sponsor business. From the twisted quill of supercoach Wayne Bennett comes his latest self-published thriller, Absolute Psycho. A gripping tale of 5 complete strangers who all either play or are employed by a small country town league club as it prepares for its first grand final in 13 years.
I'm the workhorse forward, struggling with repeated head knocks.
I'm the general manager, weighed down by the guilt of gambling away the team's entire electronic scoreboard fund.
I'm the talented rookie winger, trying my guts out to stay in the first, but should spend more time off my phone.
I'm the eccentric orderly who makes ornately crafted knives.
And I'm the captain who's lost all his crypto codes.
Who will be pushed to and then off the edge, and who will become the absolute
psycho.
Bennett takes us on a bold and illuminating thrill ride that holds a mirror directly below the undercarriage of league culture so it can be disgusted by the sight of its own bumhole. Absolute psycho. And there's just a bunch of contact details down the bottom. So, I think
just a bunch of
Wayne,
contact details.
It gets very wordy, lots of numbers. But I think Wayne will be pretty happy with that one.
I think so,
I
too.
think we will be getting, the escrow has got the $50 now. So once we post this baby up, that'll be released.
It's weird that we had to transfer Wayne all those iTunes cards before we could get paid, though.
Well, at least he negotiated down from using Western Union at the post office. But,
that's true.
I
It reminds me of the time, Daniel, that you got a really good deal on a Mac Pro, whatever they used to be called back in the day, and we had to talk you out of buying it.
Yeah. That was my first lesson in internet scams. And it was a valuable lesson. One that I wasn't burnt on, but with the, thankfully I had the mentorship of good friends, whereas a lot of our elderly don't these days. So spare a thought.
Now, guys, the off-season's a time when clubs' high-performance managers look at the latest sports science innovations from around the world for anything that might give their team an advantage. And hopefully they're turning their eyes to the world of ski jumping, where top-level male ski jumpers have apparently been artificially enlarging their penises to gain a competitive advantage. It works like this. During the airborne phase of a ski jump, your body basically acts like an enormous wing. The larger the surface area of that wing, the more lift it has. So if you can increase your penile girth by a few centimetres, well, then you might add a metre or two to your jump. Now, apparently the preferred method to bulk up one's bulge is by injecting hyaluronic acid filler directly into the penis. Sounds dramatic. Apparently it's the same stuff used in many kinds of eye drops and skin care, more of a plumping compound.
Right.
So,
now, is this scientifically proven, or is this, like when I think about like the difference that a slightly or even a significantly enlarged member could cause to the aerodynamics, sort of, you sure these aren't jumpers that are just going to their surgeons and saying, oh, it's
need a bit more, yeah.
Well, I wonder if
it's actually because when you're standing at the top of a ski ramp in, maybe minus 15 at Milano Cortina, you're going to have a significant bit of shrinkage, I think. So perhaps it's about when you're on international TV to make sure that, you're not being shortchanged. But anyway, the good news is that hyaluronic acid is not a banned substance by the World Anti-Doping Authority. So this method of enhancement is open to athletes across all sports.
Bombs away.
So I have to ask, do you think this kind of penis enlargement could have any applications on the NRL field?
Look, I've got a few things to ask first, if I can, Dan, because I've been waiting for this segment for about a month since it was first posited. You have come with this very interesting story, and there are no images for me. Sorry, Dan, you might not care. I'm a visual person, Simon. So how do I get the view of what's going on here? Do I just Google it? Will that be safe enough on my I think computer?
When this story first broke a couple of months, probably about a month ago, it was kind of like there was no sort of proof that anybody was doing it. It was kind of a bit of a rumour. But then I think, Daniel, you found just in the last 24 hours or so that a plastic surgeon's actually come forward and said that, yes, he has injected ski jumpers' penises with hyaluronic acid.
Yeah, we're getting closer to the source. We still don't have a name.
Yeah.
a member.
So no, I don't think
of the
you'll be able
jumping
to find
fraternity.
any at least not for ski jumpers. I'm sure you can find before and after shots of the procedure just in the general population if you're curious.
Okay,
And,
so just as a public warning, employer, family, I will be deeply investigating this. And I will be trying to find
I
the
would
photos
recommend
of it.
just tread carefully with your search terminology.
Sure.
Yeah, especially on a work computer.
A lot of teams these days rely on those kicks to high-flying wingers to score tries. You know, you got Xavier Coates at Melbourne or, Daniel Tupou at the Roosters. And so if you take it back to that ski jumping of the amount, it's increasing your amount of lift in the air. I think the onus is on the defender on the wing to inject acid into their knob so they can get the height to compete with these guys in the air.
So you're actually using it as a way to sort of help distance yourself from an opposition player? Is that
to get up so you can out jump your Xavier Coates and your Tupous
purely for the aerodynamics of getting up there,
getting a height?
Yeah,
that's a good one. I also think, Simon, just on that, just letting my mind wander.
Be careful
for
James.
the attacking jumper. The package could be thus that it could knock or muffle or get in the way of offending heads. Like, there's nothing to say you can't.
Yes, that's
get
true.
hit by someone else's penis. I can guarantee that in the rules. So, so it could be used in that attacking way. And then my final thought was that quite often the ball is held in the torso area in a try. You can imagine a sort of crash play or something like that. So simply having an extra level in that will mean that the ball, even if held tightly, will be maybe 2 to 3 inches forward, and that could be the difference.
Oh, wow, okay.
Reaching the white line or the other.
I think it could have the opposite impact, though, James, as it'd be harder to get the ball to the ground. If you're diving over the line and you hit the end goal, Todger first, then you have this massive space between your arm and the ground where defenders can get in there and wrap you up before you have a chance to ground the ball.
Maybe we'll have a separate rule
Fascinating.
for sexy double movements,
Yeah.
where one kind of presents first with the genitals and then promotes the ball or one of them thereafter.
So I think, Simon, week 1 you go to training and you say, I'm pretty sure I can run the 6 or 7 kilometres. So, yeah, great. That's great, Simon. Welcome aboard.
In
blah, blah,
approximately 50 minutes without trying that hard, not the 80 minutes that you slackers are doing it in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And they were like, oh, beauty. Let's get in there. And then the next week you come with, as it says in the article, a generous dose of hyaluronic acid. And you reveal it to them and say, listen, I'm just trying out a few new things. It's experimental.
You
and
reveal
go from there.
it to them or just the notion?
Oh, you say that you've been doing They were like,
okay,
Simon,
yeah,
you
sorry.
look different. And you go, yeah, absolutely.
That would make for some really good content, though, James, if he literally, yeah. Oh, it's quite impressive, mate. Jackie, we got any more of those big shorts?
I just don't know what the hell they're doing.
Resounding thunder broke the slumber deep, that drowsed my senses, and myself I shook, like one by force awakened out of sleep. Then rising up I cast a steady look, with eyes refreshed on all that lay around, a cognizance of where I found me took. In sooth, me on the valley's brink I found of the dolorous abyss, where infinite, despairing cries converge with thundering sound. Oh, hey guys, that was sort of the opening few lines of Canto 4 from Dante's Inferno, which is of course part of his famed poetry writing, the Divine Comedy. And Canto 4, as you could tell, introduces the concept of the levels of hell.
I was going to say, yeah.
As you know, and starts off with the initial level of hell, which is the least hellish of all levels, which is, of course, Limbo.
And so this is the
hence
season of Limbo.
Hence the song, it's the month of Limbo.
Oh, the
hence
month
the song
of
in the
Limbo.
background at the start that you heard, the Limbo song.
So this is a little NRL Hellmouth collab, is it, with Dante's Inferno?
It's a collab with Dante. It's in the public domain, so
good. Prime real estate. Great content.
Is the Inferno the poem that has the famous line, "Abandon all hope ye who enter here"? I'm pretty sure it is. I only ask because that's the same thing they have over the Eastern Gate at Bruce Stadium. So
I can guarantee, Simon, it has the line, "I lost all hope of making the ascent," which is more or less the same.
That's very rugby league adjacent.
And it's beautiful. That's in the opening Canto 1. So that's pretty much where the Raiders can begin and end their season.
Every team is essentially in limbo now. I mean, there's a lot of teams that have put up their hand to say that they have won the off season. But here we are, just waiting, just preparing for March. Any hint on where we're going next, James, or should we keep that tight-lipped secret?
We're going to have to wait till March, and we will be celebrating Limbo, particularly next week, which was the last week of February. And we will be seeing at that point, I think, who won the incredibly exciting Wits pre-season tournament, which we obviously know. We don't know who's winning because there's no published ladder. We can cover that off. We can also cover off transfer rumours and news of the season, which is a big part of Limbo, which is not knowing where you are. So Mr. Lomax is obviously well into Limbo, and according to the poem, he's there with the likes of Socrates.
Zach, if you're listening, friend of the pod, I'm sure. We know you're doing it tough, but Socrates, a good mate, she'll be in there
certainly
somewhere.
in the poem. There's a range of luminaries in Limbo with him.
Oh, great.
Not knowing where they're going to go. And then obviously there are various teams that are in Limbo because they don't know if they're going to do well or not based on where they're at.
Well, if you believe any article out there, you can believe any team is either having a terrible season or is, a dark horse for the premiership. So I guess Limbo it is.
I think that, yes, I think some of the mainstream rugby league media is certainly doing the Limbo because they seem to be competing to see how low they can go. Okay, time to close up the Hellmouth for another week. Thank you so much for joining us for this first episode. I hope you'll come back next week as we turn our attention towards round one in the city that is Las Vegas. And now to take us out, it's time for James's final thought.
You might be cruising the Epstein Files. You might be sitting at a poker machine with a beverage in hand, frustrated that the season hasn't started yet. You might be injecting your penis with a sterile substance. But just know this, for the next 9 months, we are here for you, and we are here for rugby league. Ave Volandis.
James, going back to your initial idea of the way to spruce up the All-Stars game, could we actually try a team of enhanced peni? Is that right? Penis?
Ooh, yes.
I'm laughing because in my mind I went straight to a team of the smallest possible penises, so that the winner of the first match is like, as a funny joke, they're like, all right, let's choose every guy in our team with the littlest wang, and that's the team. And then for that whole week beforehand, nobody knows what it is. They all put after the match, everyone puts two and two together. Because they'd be going, we don't even know why we're chosen, and then they'll know right at the end when they've showers and stuff.
How could you possibly make it that every player doesn't realise that what's going on until that point where the penny drops in the showers after the game and
they're all together.
Hang on a second. There's something going on.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'm really comfortable in this dressing room. It's been the first time ever I just feel normal.